Hi, it's Sophia Campbell. So I really enjoyed the diving bell and the butterfly. Um, Trapped inside of his mind was the first thing that popped into my head when I realized that John Doe thought he was speaking audibly, but clearly he was not. Then the doctor named it locked in syndrome, which, that's that was my aha moment. Um, I've always thought that people with disabilities probably do get lost in their own minds just because of their inabilities to do whatever it may be, communication, to move, to walk, whatever. Um, when you want to say or do something, but you physically or mentally unable to perform, has to be pretty stressful. When I was a child, my father had an accident that damaged his spine. During that time, he resided at several rehabilitation centers that were out of state, so he wasn't able to see family. He told me that during this time, he did a lot of thinking and dreaming about his life when he could walk. And this just made me think back to John Doe. He said everything else was broken, but his mind and his imagination weren't. Um, I thought about my dad when he said that part. He said holding on to what made him Jimmy, which is my dad's name, was what kept him going and pushed him harder in rehab. He couldn't move and do what he used to do and was now entirely dependent on others. He felt trapped, but his wife and kids were what motivated him to walk again, which he did do 4 years later. Um, when John Doe was surrounded by those he loved and supported him, he was more willing to push himself in rehab. He did go through that time where he was self pitying, feeling really bad and down about himself and his condition. At first, he said he didn't even want his kids to come and see him like that. Um, but I do feel like his speech therapist was very thorough in her attempts to help him. And she even consulted with other professionals to find the best supports for him to be able to communicate. John Doe only had control over one eye, so that is what Henriette decided to use as a means for him to communicate. To respond with yes, he was to blink once. To respond with no, he was to blink twice. So now we had basic communication established, yes or no. Um, then she created a board with the alphabet in order of the most used letters, and then I guess, everything after that, and gave him instructions on how to respond to spell out words. He was to blink once when she called out the letter that he wanted to use, um, blink twice for a space, and to blink rapidly if she had called out the incorrect letter or word. So by using these assistive technologies and techniques, John Doe was able to communicate, even writing a book, before his life tragically ended. She also gave him exercises that would help him retrain his mouth to swallow, and a mirror so that he was able to see his process. So his progress. So he's sitting there looking in the mirror, trying to get his tongue to roll to the top of his mouth, so he's able to look and see if he's doing it. Sometimes you can't feel it, but it's still working. Um, it's our job as teachers to learn our students' abilities and strengths and to use those when constructing a plan to help them. Henriette used John Doe's abilities to blink his eye and created him the capability um, to express himself and communicate. And those are my thoughts on the movie. Thank you.